Okay, so I gotta be quiet because the kid's asleep right next to me. But this is a really, really good story that I don't want to have wait. Almost 80 years ago, the members of the 2nd Fighter Squadron, the American Beagles, tasted victory in Europe against the Nazis and their allies. To celebrate, they bought a 21-year-old bottle of scotch whiskey, which was only to be opened by the last man alive from the unit. 77 years later, the bottle has found its final home, unopened, with the squadron's heirs. Eglin Air Force Base. In between the screams of commercial planes taking off and landing, a small group of 50 come to a hangar to honor the American Beagles of World War II.
Code. Attention. Hut.
An honor guard and a flyover by the unit's current pilots honor the 247 men who served in the unit during the Second World War, including Colonel Mel Bryant, the last living man from the unit, who died last year. Major Chris Mills with the 2nd Fighter Squadron told Mel's story. The colonel was shot down over German territory, bailed out, and was nearly killed by residents of the area. Taken into custody, he survived for 2 months in a prisoner of war camp before General George Patton's unit liberated the camp.
He was everywhere at once, covering the great distances within his command.
In the middle of the action is a little old lady, Glenda Bryant. She came to Eglin to honor her husband's last wishes and give the old bottle of scotch to the unit he loved. Her small voice rings with pride for her husband.
I miss it more than I could even tell you. He was an awesome guy. He loved his job and he put it first. His last assignment was base commander of Yonder. And I learned a lot from him that I didn't know.
Receiving the bottle, Colonel George Watkins, 325th Fighter Wing Commander. He told the crowd that when the 325th Fighter Wing's base at Tyndall's rebuilt, the bottle is going to have a special place in the building, along with other memorabilia.
It's an honor for me as a 325th Fighter Wing Commander to be up here today, to be part of this ceremony, to be honoring the legacy of our heroes today. I think it's super important to bring that history, to remember it, to present it, and to continue to discuss and teach our young fighter pilots and our young airmen across the Air Force about our history and where we come from.
The bottle is going to be unique and a needed piece of history for the unit, which saw their base wiped out by Hurricane Michael in 2018. Lieutenant Colonel Brent Blandino, the current squadron commander, watched the ceremony with some of the pilots in the unit. The pilot notes something special about those people from the greatest generation.
In every single one of those accounts and every single one of those stories, especially the personal accounts where you get to hear the words of the people who experienced it, you don't hear a tone of doubt or concern. You hear an uplifting, upbeat tone in every single account where they're just going through their life, they're just doing their job, and maybe they don't even realize the gravity or the situation of how unbelievable the situation is that they're experiencing at the time.
Colonel Bryant wasn't the original holder of the bottle of scotch, which was initially given to the youngest man in the squadron, but in 2015, the previous youngest pilot died. Bryant became responsible for the bottle. As a remembrance of the men who served in the Second World War when the squadron was organized, each of the T-38 aircraft the squadron uses will have the name of a pilot from that era added to the plane. I'm Christopher Saul, and this is Mid-Bay News.